Today I'm going to tell you about the time where I went to Miami and I interviewed people walking out of a high-end gym called Equinox. Now, if you're not familiar, Equinox is a very high-end gym chain that is available all across the USA. And they're not cheap. In fact, they may be one of the most expensive gym chains in your city. It's a high-end gym. Depending on a city, the prices can range from like $100 to $300 per month. And when you compare that to $10 a month at Planet Fitness, that's a lot. But you're getting very high-end equipment. And so this was me back when I was in Miami. And I was in Miami because, who doesn't want to try living there? But also, I was doing this work trip thing where I was working remote and I could travel within the US. So I was trying out different cities. Now, during my time there, I also always wanted to be like a YouTuber, and I fantasized like, oh, that must be so cool if I was in California or Florida and interviewing people on the street or just doing stuff I saw on YouTube. So it was a bit scary, but I went ahead and did it. And, I came in expecting that some people would be like, no, I don't want to be interviewed, get out of my face. And that did happen. Not as disrespectfully as that, but people would be like, no, thank you. And on top of that, I really wanted to just try it out and get this information. Because like, what type of rich people go to these things? Maybe they have a higher resonance of making money, a higher mindset that we could learn from to make money ourselves. So there I was in the heart of Miami. There's this place in Miami called Brickell, which is like basically the one of the big hubs, and right smack dab in there is where there's an Equinox. And so I just stood outside and started asking people, and some said no, some said yes. I think more said yes than I thought. I was expecting 10% to say yes, but it was probably closer to like 30-40%. So that was pretty good for me. And after interviewing a bunch of these people, I realized they came from all different walks of life, but the biggest surprise that I found was that a lot of them were generally people who weren't millionaires or extremely wealthy. They were, I guess you could call it upper middle class. They were like 9-to-5 workers essentially. These were people who had pretty surprisingly normal jobs. You would expect in Miami that half of them would be some type of entertainment-based musician or influencer, or I don't know, some type of artist in some form. But many just had regular jobs in cybersecurity, as a UX designer, or in sales, or in healthcare. And it was kind of shocking. It's like, I'm in glamorous Miami, but these are all kind of, relatable to me in some sense. And so, that's possibly where the real money is. Nothing like you might see, like, oh, everyone's in nightclubs. Now, and that may be different if I went outside of a nightclub and asked, and I'm sure there's people like that. But it was really interesting to see that. And, I think some of them were making a bit more than usual. Like, I think the cybersecurity sales guy was like, hey, he hinted that he was making upwards of multiple six figures in the field. But then a lot of the others, like the UX designer, it didn't seem like she was making an arm and leg. And I know that industry, so it's not like those types of people are making $200,000 a year. I think it's probably probably something like $60K a year to $110K a year, which is still better than average, but not like you're rolling in dough on a yacht or anything. And so what I found is that they make more than average, but they're willing to spend some of that on a higher end experience. And you got to think about that. Most people don't choose to spend on stuff like that because they're too cheap. Even if they make more money, they're like, I'm going to stick to the $10 a month Planet Fitness because what's the difference? Why would I pay anything extra? And I think sometimes, you shouldn't overspend on luxuries as your income goes up, because that's how you never save enough money to use that to grow it into more money. And that's why some of these people may stay as just high earners, but also high spenders. But at the same time, you got to realize that some of these investments are worth it. I joined a program called Men of Action, and the founder is a multi-millionaire, always networking with successful people. And when you look at him, he tells his students in the program, join a high-end gym, because you're just going to be networking with a lot more high-end successful people. You may even have David Goggins working out next to you or some other celebrity. And there's just a higher resonance in there at that gym. It's not so much for the equipment, it's for the people, it's for the energy. I mean, I didn't just hear it from successful people, but I also hear from people who are jacked. One time I ran into this guy who was just super jacked and muscular, and he was one of the few who told me, like, get out of Planet Fitness. Like, you're just going to have a different energy and crowd around you, and the people at Planet Fitness, they just like barely know how to work out. They're beginners. They're doing their form and technique wrong. And there is some truth to that. When I converted to a higher end gym, the people were more jacked, but also they had a different energy, mentality, different habits. You could tell that they were not just, they're just like slacking off, but they were in there working out. There's a certain demographic change when you're at one gym versus another. You see a lot of, some people in Planet Fitness are still, they're serious too, but not as many, and you don't see as many of them in there every day. And there's just a certain crowd there. No offense, but it's a lot of like, ethnic people who are, you see them and you feel like they're probably working, lower wage jobs. And then when you're at a higher end place, the crowd of people changes. I hate to say it, but the ethnicity changes. The type of people change. The way they carry themselves, the way they're at the gym, even the equipment they bring to the gym. And, don't get me wrong, I love all ethnicities. And don't get me wrong, I also love all the things that Planet Fitness has to offer. I was a member and I still am a member. I never canceled my Planet Fitness because there's just so many more locations and I can go to one wherever I travel. So I technically have 2 gym memberships. But a high-end gym just has a certain difference energy with the people there. You could tell that they're more likely entrepreneurs. They're more likely people who have their life together. And also, I hate to say it, but there's a different ethnic makeup of them. And, for whatever reason, maybe they have more opportunities that they were born into or whatnot, but they were able to get that money there. And so it just makes you think that it's not about the gym equipment, because I do think that you probably have just as much gym equipment, and really a lot of these high-end gyms, they're not really that special either. I mean, the equipment there, the stuff there, it's a bit better, but like I don't really notice it, and I don't really need a herb infused sauna or any of that. For me, it's more so about the energy there that could potentially affect my behavior. So I earn more money and I meet more cool people, but also their habits ingrained on me. So I work out harder, I do the form and technique properly, and I have a different mindset, which affects my actions to hit the gym harder, hit different muscle groups, do machines that I never would have done before. It's just a different perseverance and hunger and work ethic at these gyms. And so that's what I take from it. And, it's not the, equipment or any of that other stuff, because frankly, I think, something like a Planet Fitness does most of it. Yeah, they may not have as much of a, area to do deadlifts or squats or any of that. That's one area they're lacking. But for the most part, like, some of the fitness influencers I followed for years, like Goku Flex said, he said you can make gains with just a few sets of dumbbells and a pull-up rack. There's no excuses there. So I don't think it's the equipment or the saunas. It's about the people, the mindset, the habits. And that's what I learned interviewing people in Equinox. And I did make a video on that on my other channel, Will Chow, if you want to search that up from way back. Just me interviewing all these people. And sometimes it's not so much that they're jacked. It depends. There's different high-end gyms. Equinox, let's be honest, if you look at the people I interviewed there, none of them were really jacked, even though they were in Miami, at the heart of Miami and Equinox. Many of them were just kind of like, normal, slim-looking people like me. But they're there to get their fit on. And so keep that in mind too. Like, there's not just one high-end chain. So what I did was I also tried out different chains of high-end stores and saw what type of people each brought. They may both be equally expensive, but this one is more of like a, white person, skinny yoga, loving, fruit juice drinking type of crowd. And then this other one, everyone there is jacked and they're ready to get in there and do 100 deadlifts, or not 100, no, they wouldn't do that many reps. A lot of deadlifts at a heavy weight, maybe that's 5 reps or whatnot. And they're just looking really swole. So it really depends. Like, there's different routes and cultures at each gym, amongst even the high-end gyms. So that's my story, and thanks for watching.